It's like I was telling you, bro. You're not supposed to stick that much stuff in your butt.
Well, I mean, you told me you had so much more, so I thought I could have it.
Welcome, everyone.
Are we live?
Welcome, everyone. My name is Amos Joseph. I'm joined by my co-host, Brook Potter, and this is the 10K Rum Podcast. How's it going, Brook?
It's going well. I don't know where the fuck that conversation was coming from. You know?
See, this is a good thing. This is for the audience to figure it out.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm doing well, man. You know, we've come out of summer out here in the UK, so it's actually getting very cold in the mornings, which is kind of a problem because it starts off very cold in the morning. So like I'm wearing a sweater / jumper out here. But by about midday, it gets really hot. It goes up to about 20, 30 degrees sometimes. So then I start sweating and getting all this kind of stuff. So it's a very odd time out here in the UK weather-wise. So how do you deal with that in Minnesota? Do you all have like crazy weather like that?
Minnesota weather is like women.
Oh,
really
right.
is.
Is this a meme? Did I see this meme?
No. I mean, if you've lived here in any extended period of time, and I mean extended like a full year, you'll see how crazy the weather can be. I mean, I've seen rain, snow, and then rain again. All like in this, like I've had it where like I'll look outside and it's what it is right now. It's sunny, it's clear. Granted, it's probably a little cooler than it'd be like in the so for listeners, in Fahrenheit in like the 50s or something, and it'd be nice out. Mm-hmm. There'd be like some warmth coming from the sun, and then 2 days later we're in 2 feet of snow.
Yes. I have to, even in Kansas, I saw that where it would literally be snowing in the morning, and then by midday it's bright like summer, just some crazy shit. So I think
it really messes with you when it looks nice out, like it's gorgeous, sun's bright, clear skies, but it's 30 degrees below zero. Because what's basically happening is you're having this. It's so cold because there's nothing holding the heat in.
Right.
So it's just, it looks nice out and you look out, but it's just cold. But in the summer, it gets weird. Like we'll get some like really humid days followed by some very cool days.
Right.
So it gets hot and humid, then it gets cold and dry in the winter. But now it's still like kind of off and on. Like we're still seeing some summer-ish weather, which is weird.
Well, what time does I guess you'll have autumn or fall? When does that officially kind of start for you guys?
When it feels like it.
There's no set time. I mean, we're coming into fall now, and I think our friend to the north, she started posting some pictures of the trees, turning color, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that'll happen. But in terms of actual weather shift to where you're going to start getting cooler and cooler days, probably not till the beginning of next month. But see, here's the weird thing: is Minnesota will skip fall. We'll just skip it sometimes,
and just go from summer to winter.
Within a matter of like 2 or 3 weeks, yeah, it can happen.
Really,
it has happened.
That's wild.
Because your fall is supposed to be what, September 21st?
Yeah, September into
December.
October. Yeah, totally.
Well, into December. I mean, officially into December. Doing the math here. So you'd think, it kind of slow, like kind of gradually transition into December 21st, winter.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure all this in my head.
I mean, I think for us, we don't actually get much of a winter until January or February. So we don't get snow until like next year sort of thing, at least since I've been here.
Yeah. I mean, It's so because I'm trying to think in traditional like 3 month, you know, periods of a season, but it doesn't always work that way in Minnesota. So you'll, like I said, you'll have like heat and humidity from May all the way till like September,
Right.
and then like middle of October, snow.
That's crazy.
Excuse me. And of course, you know, a lot of I guess would be my parents' generation would keep talking about what was known as the Halloween blizzard of '91. They always talk about that. It's kind of it's become a meme on its own
Right.
for how much people talk about it. So basically, the Halloween of '91, before I was born, there was a 36 inches of snow within 24 hours.
Wow. Wow, that's really something.
Yeah. Excuse me. And that was when my parents just met each other and my mom was visiting Minnesota for the first time.
Wow. Okay.
So she's looking around and my dad and she's like, "Is this normal?" And my dad's like, "No." Like that was, I mean, granted, like that's not normal,
yes.
but it can happen.
Sure. Sure.
Like it shouldn't be unexpected. Like I remember I remember like snow in the first week of May.
Right. Okay.
And I remember snow as early as October before. Yeah. So
Wow.
it's now in Minnesota state history, the only month that snow has not been on the ground is July.
Consistently. Like that's the only guaranteed snow-free month in history.
History, yeah.
Yeah. It may still happen, but okay.
Historically, so like you look at your typical like weather history data, it's usually like a little over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in that time, Minnesota's seen snow in every other month except for July. Granted, it could be, you know, some areas in Minnesota that just get snow all the time. Like there are areas in Minnesota that just get a lot of snow.
Yeah.
There's a town, this really small town in Minnesota that's known for its hockey.
Yeah.
There are hockey players there. It's a really small town though, and they also get really, really cold and a lot of snow too. So it's like a breeding ground for hockey players, and at the town's maybe like a few hundred people that live there. Well, I don't know exactly.
Okay.
It's the town was doing so well in hockey that when they would compete in the high school league in Minnesota, they actually had to compete with schools,
like bigger age groups, older age groups.
Well, no, not age groups. In terms of size. So the way, 2000. So the town is called Roseau. Roseau, Roseau, Minnesota, 2,633 people.
Okay.
At this point, maybe it's 2,700, but because this is the 2010 census. But
sure,
all
of those Somali migrants.
No, this town is in the middle of nowhere. But so the way it works typically in the States with like high schools when they do competitions is they go by usually either school size,
Mm-hmm.
usually the size of school. So with that town, they probably have the school like, boy, I mean,
really small.
It's a really small class. So
yeah.
Usually they would like group up like all the small towns would compete in a league in like a certain division of the league, and then medium-sized towns, big towns. Like the town that I graduated from, we were just on the verge of approaching like some of the largest schools in the state.
Right.
So this little town of 2,600 people was competing with towns with 100,000 people.
Yes.
Just because they were getting too good. Just to like keep it fair.
I mean, is it because they've had snow basically all year round? They just train all year round. That's kind of what you're saying.
There is that, yeah. So I mean, they're pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it's like it would be like like an I guess a snow equivalent, like a snow cold equivalent of American Samoa with football players.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So
Maybe not exactly. I mean, there's a lot of like those areas across the country that are like just where a certain sport is just ridiculous. It's, you know, like almost religious. You know,
right.
your
Yeah.
hockey. Yeah, your hockey areas. You've got your like basketball. That's just all your your inner cities.
Yeah, pretty much inner cities.
And then
Soccer tends to be a kind of California thing.
Right, and you get a lot of and then you know, you get someone like Beckham coming from Europe.
Yeah, or he's the coach though. He's from England.
Back when he was playing though.
Yeah, he lives in Hertfordshire, which isn't too far from where I am, and right in my town in Essex. I've seen him. He comes here with his wife to buy pie and mash at like this very historic pie and mash shop, you know, that's not too far from here. So every so often you see this Bentley Continental pull up, and it's the two of them, and they just join the line. They get their pie and mash, take a couple pictures, jump in the car, and go. And that was actually pretty surreal. When we had the World Cup back in, well, not we, but when Trinidad and Tobago got into the World Cup, he was the captain of the English team, and he had played with our captain, who was Dwight York. And the two of them were kind of chummy, you know, they're chatting up and stuff like that. But, you know, since then we could always kind of saw him as the adversary, you know. So I still got a little bit of that going on. But yeah.
I remember a commercial with him. It was really so Beckham was like at some like, you know, high society, not high society, like some sort of dinner party with like basically rich people, celebrities and stuff. But he, you know, he's the only celebrity in this commercial. So he's like talking to this chick, and she's like, oh my gosh, like I've never met you before. Like, what do you do? And he goes, oh, I'm a football player. Football? Who do you play for? Well, for Los Angeles.
Galaxy, isn't it? I think,
Yeah. And she goes, really? And then so this guy comes up, and this other guy comes up. She goes, hey, you should meet him. He's a football player for Los Angeles. And then the guy's like, you guys an American? And he goes, right.
Because he's so kinda, skinny.
And he's also treating her kind of like she's like the dumb blonde. He's like, yeah, football player from Los Angeles. And then it was a commercial advertising the LA Galaxy when they were like starting
out. Right. That's funny. I mean, speaking of great ads, I don't know if anybody remembers this. We were actually in Minnesota for when the World Cup was in Brazil, in Rio. And that had some fucking crazy ads where this absolutely stunning Brazilian woman, tall, you know, legs that go all the way up, in heels, a mini skirt up to there. She comes out, and of course in Brazil they say football, Futbal, right? Football. And it was actually quite a controversial ad, because she's there and it's like, in my country we say football, and she kicks the ball, and of course, you know, she just jiggles, and you know, every man loses his shit. And there were like a whole series of those types of ads, man. So yeah, I'm not surprised that Beckham found himself in some American propaganda to try and push soccer to the masses.
Yeah, because we've got I don't even remember what the hell Minnesota's team is.
You'll have a soccer team? You'll actually have like a...
We do.
Oh,
there's a stadium too.
Brilliant.
Let's see.
I have to admit, though, I've been in England for 3 years, and I have not gone to a football game, a soccer game, as the Americans would say, and which is kind of shit, because I do enjoy watching the sport. It's like, you know, for me, it's quite entertaining. Mm-hmm. But I'm not a big fan. I'm not one of those people who's going to every game and following every team. I watch the World Cup. When the World Cup's on, yeah, you know, I'll watch that. I don't particularly back any team. I just want to see a good game kind of thing. And yeah, I'm in the land of that shit, man. I should be going out all the time.
Minnesota United.
Obviously playing off of the Manchester United football club that
Yeah,
is quite big.
their and then their, I guess, banner is like a bird, I guess, some sort of bird.
Really?
I think. I mean, it's so not popular in Minnesota that like you just.
I mean, the Americans did coin the soccer mom kind of motif, you know, so that they really are trying to push it and you know, make it a thing.
Yeah, but the soccer mom isn't so much about the soccer as it is more about the mom.
Yeah, but in order to be a soccer mom, you're taking your kids to soccer, are you not?
True, but like you're not like that's where that we'll just say that meme kind of stops.
Right.
You're not really hearing about like soccer players beyond the kids that go to soccer, you know.
Right,
right.
right.
It's being the way it's perceived as kind of, oh, it's just mom taking to an activity. Like it could have just been easy as a baseball or a football mom.
Okay.
Or a basketball mom. Like kids do sports in the US, and soccer is just kind of like this. Maybe it was, you know, however that meme developed, it's just it did, but I mean it isn't so much about the soccer really.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just kind of an adage for any busy mother taking kids to events.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the soccer mom van, the soccer mom that which she looks like, you know.
Right.
It's, and then of course, you know, in the US, soccer is just not really there. I mean,
yeah, you guys call it ballet.
Yeah, I mean, and even baseball, yeah, it's popular. Not as it's no like football, it kind of just takes the cake.
American football,
yeah.
American football.
Or as you called it, hand egg.
Hand egg, because you know, when we play football, because you kick the ball and it is a ball with your foot, you guys have this hand egg shit going on where you use your hands to pass around an egg, and the only time you kick it is after you score a touchdown and you need an extra point. But for some reason, it's football. So
I mean, it's funny. Chinese, how they describe it. So they have football, then they have American football. So I'm translating literally from Chinese, and then they'll and then rugby is olive ball.
Olive ball. Okay. Interesting.
That's just the closest word they kind of matched it up with. And then it's funny. Baseball is not actually baseball in Chinese.
What did they say?
Either, I mean, depending upon, I mean, honestly, it'd be like it's called bat ball or bat or club. I mean, obviously it's a bat, you know, baseball bat. Yeah. But bat ball, and then softball is baseball.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Because they actually use the word that describes like bases for softball.
Interesting.
And then for baseball, it's more, the word is that describes it as the bat.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, you know, okay. Baseball is pretty big in Taiwan, though.
I was about to ask, like, what is the major sport out in Taiwan? So is baseball. That's interesting.
Baseball is up there. Basketball is kind of like they're trying.
I guess they're too short to really, you know, make it exciting.
You got Jeremy Lin. That's
the
all.
One. Yeah, the one tall.
And
Asian.
then and then of course, you know, honorable mention is Yao Ming, but he's, you know, he's comic. But
he's playing in the US now, isn't he?
Who?
Yao Ming.
Probably. I don't know.
I don't know.
He's it's like everyone knows the name, but no one really knows like what he exactly is doing unless people follow.
Yeah.
And then you got him, and then yeah, but in baseball you had a lot of I mean, you look at the history, like Little League World Series, like Taiwan won a lot of them back in the day.
Really?
And now that, I mean, they play a lot now, and there's, I don't know where exactly it came from. It just, they got really good at baseball and I mean, it's a bit of a pastime, but in terms of like, the national pastime, I don't know what exactly that'd be for Taiwan.
I don't know.
Baseball and basketball are the two big sports, though.
I know the Japanese adopted baseball, right? But I mean, that again, they got fucked up the ass by the Americans. So it's I guess maybe Japan is kind of the regional influencer since they kind of adopted the American pastime. Maybe that's where the influence came from.
During the occupation that they had.
Yeah. That's probably what happened. I mean, something very similar happened with the English with cricket. So cricket, not popular in the United States. And to be honest, I don't even fucking understand cricket. But it's played in the colonies, right? So all the major teams that are playing in what would be the Cricket World Cup are all colonial. It's the British went out and they taught the locals how to play cricket. So it's Pakistan and India, Australia, New Zealand, and all these places. So yeah.
So if someone really wanted to, they could say cricket is racist.
No, it would be difficult to say cricket is racist, seeing it as it has all of these different ethnicities playing it. But it
was part of colonialism.
Yeah, right. I was about to say it was one of the impacts of colonialism. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is yet to be seen. Seeing as England hasn't
someone's going to make it a bad thing, though.
Oh, you can make anything into a bad thing. I think the English think it's a bad thing because they haven't been able to win a Cricket World Cup in quite some time. Kind of regret giving it to the colonies.
Right.
Yeah. And the same thing in football. It was a Scottish guy. I can't remember his name. He went to Brazil with nothing but a couple shin pads, shoes, and a football. And he is the patron saint. He's the guy who introduced football to Brazil, to Latin America. And anybody knows the Brazilian team, maybe not so much now, but at one point was the best in the world. And they track it back to a Scottish gentleman.
What is he, like a Christopher Columbus of
football? Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
He went to the New World.
Went to the New World, and he taught them how to play football. And it is in Brazil, that's a religion. They take their football very seriously. A lot of the other countries are kind of coming up as well. But yeah, that's patron saint. Thanks, Scotland.
And you know where a lot of our baseball players come from, right?
Presently or before? I don't know. I don't really.
Well, still, like the mix. So like you go to basketball, majority is black. Yes. You go to baseball, it's a mix of white, Latin American,
right? Like Mexican.
More so like, I mean, you get there's that, but you get Cubans, Dominicans.
The Cubans are huge with baseball. That's actually true. I know that.
There was this so you remember all the skits that these guys did, Key and Peele, they did all those two guys that
the comedian. I never watched it. I actually should. Everybody keeps telling me I should, but I just never got the time.
So
I know who
they are. They did this skit around like baseball players. So there was this it was called Slap Ass. There was this guy that basically just had this weird thing for like at the end of every game, he would just slap guys in the ass like, yeah, good game, slap ass. Yeah. Kept doing that. And then so then one of the guys just got pissed and hit, and they made a whole drama thing out of it. And he's like, you keep slapping everyone's ass. And he goes, oh, just a little slap ass, like, good job. And he goes, yeah, but I hate it. You do it all the time. Right. He's like, I go home and I look at my son and he's asking me, why does that guy keep slapping my ass? And he goes, do you know how hard of a life I had? I grew up in the Dominican Republic, and all of a sudden the whole team goes, "We're all from the Dominican Republic."
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think I don't know if I was reading this or something like that. In terms of how progressive the United States has become, in a good way, there was once upon a time where you couldn't, like, Dominicans, Africans, and whites could not share the same league in things like baseball, basketball, and these other things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a reason. Back in the 1950s and the 60s, they just started their own leagues. You know, it's like, all right, the white man doesn't want us in basketball. We'll start our own basketball league. They didn't want them in baseball. They started their own thing. So, I mean, it was a very different attitude back then before, a lot of the kind of victim mentality things came into play. But the minute the teams got mixed, you noticed that the Africans were outperforming in a lot of these types of sports. I mean, you look at the NBA today, that's the Basketball Association, it's predominantly Africans, right? It's African descent, black people and stuff like that. The baseball thing is interesting. At one point, it was considered that was the black man sport. So a lot of people tried to get into baseball back in the 70s and the 80s, before, I guess, basketball and these other things really became popular. But like, it's interesting to say now it's the Latin Americans who are taking up that kind of role. So it's interesting. Did you see the World Cup? Who for football, for soccer? What was the makeup of the American team? I don't know if you saw that. Don't know. No, it'll be interesting. It will be interesting.
Let's see. Soccer World Cup.
Because I know there's a Japanese team, there's a Korean team, American, a lot of African teams. So football is one of those games where it can be very mixed.
Where was the last World Cup?
Russia, 2018, I think. Yeah, I actually wanted to go across to the Russian, see a game in Russia, and visit some Russian chicks, and
of course.
It's the one time I didn't need a visa. I fucking should have gone, man.
Draw venue stadiums. Oh, they played at multiple stadiums.
Yeah, they move around in the World Cup. They have different games at different places and different venues.
Let's see. 2018 FIFA World Cup. Men's national teams. Champion, France.
Yes. They won.
England got fourth.
Yeah.
Here we go. Groups. Where's the US team?
Because, I mean, there's so much immigration coming into the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of Latin Americans who are playing. Because, again, soccer is very popular. Mexico, pretty much everywhere in the world except the United States. So, just out of curiosity, I'd be interested in knowing what the team look like, No, nothing? That's all right. But yeah, anybody in the audience who might want to shoot me a picture or stuff like that, you see my Twitter handle @_Brook Potter. Sorry, Brook. Sorry, @Brook_Potter on Twitter. Send me a picture. I'll be curious to see. But I mean, with like the makeup of the NBA, does that mean that the NBA is racist?
No, no one questions that. That's the
nobody.
thing.
Oh, you're not allowed to ask those questions. Is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. World Cup USA team. Here we go. Jeez, there's like so much information on it that just trying to find. US team eliminated. That's all I see. Right. That's exactly what it's like. It's one of those sports that we're just like, we just didn't do so well.
It looks pretty mixed, actually. I just pulled up the website here, so it looks pretty good. Oh, in the June 23rd, 2019, they trounced my home country of Trinidad and Tobago 6-0. And there is an interesting story behind that. Back in, what was it, 1990 or somewhere around that time, Trinidad and the United States were both on the cusp of getting into the World Cup. And they played a game in Trinidad and Tobago, both teams, to qualify for the World Cup. And the guy who was running it is, I can't remember his name. He's quite a scandalous person in the CONCACAF and the FIFA. Can't remember his name right now, but he's such a thing, you know, he oversold tickets to the stadium and stuff like that. And they always said that he kind of rigged the game that the Americans could win it, because FIFA really wanted the Americans to get in to try and bring in the American audience, you know. And I mean, that's a huge market for FIFA and CONCACAF and all these people. And it was always kind of, you know, they beat us. Like, I can't remember what it was. It was like 2-0 or 2-1. It was kind of close, but Trinidad and Tobago has always had this kind of rivalry against the United States since that particular incident. And a couple of times we've won and a couple of times we've lost. Obviously, I'm now looking at the CONCACAF thing there. It's 6-0. US scored 6. Trinidad and Tobago scored 0. Yeah, not looking so great for Trinidad and Tobago at the moment, but it's good stuff, man. I mean, what is the sport that you're into then, Amos? Are you into any kind of sports?
Not so much lately. I mean, I'll hear about like football and baseball. That's about it. Yeah, I haven't really like gotten back into sports as much lately. Just for whatever reason. I mean, but I used to really be into like football. I'd watch all the games. I was part of the crowd that was always like, after Sunday church, you go home, you watch the game,
crack a beer, have some burgers on the grill,
watch
Sunday Night Football.
No, it was always so noon is always when the games would start.
Okay.
At least
that was the college game, though, wasn't it? Like college. No. Oh, okay.
So Minnesota, most teams usually will play like afternoon, Sunday night football or Monday night football or even Thursday night football. Those are like primetime games that we're literally trying to push. So most teams would get like 1 or 2 of those in a season.
Yeah.
But in most of the other times, it's like afternoon. So Minnesota will always play at noon or like 1 o'clock or something. So it was always on Sundays. So like you go to church, try to get home before the game starts.
Was that, well, obviously that wasn't your idea. I'm assuming your dad or somebody that was kind of his idea.
Yeah. So then but that was like but that just like football and church kind of became a culture.
Yeah. It is a very American culture. Yeah.
Yeah. So you go to church and then you like rush home to watch the game.
I remember I was at this church service in Washington, D.C. with a pastor out there who was kind of housing us. And his daughter used to tell me that it's the same thing. He was the pastor of the church, right? So he's trying to wrap up to watch the football game, right? And he would call ahead to his daughter, who might have been at home studying, saying, "I'm coming in hot." And that meant that she had to unlock the door, turn the TV on to the football channel, get a beer and whatever, popcorn, and have everything laid out. So the minute he gets through the door, he just goes straight for the couch and he sits down to watch the game.
Yeah. My family and I, we would do that. So not like that, but I mean, we'd go home, we'd like sit down. You know, my mom would make some like guacamole, chips, and then we'd have, have something to eat as the game is going on.
Yeah. Awesome.
The thing that's interesting though is Super Bowl parties.
Oh yeah, I would have liked to have done one of those.
So because it's prime time, so it's always at night. At least when you're in the States. So you're in the States, you go to like a friend's house, beers, food. It's watching the game. It's watching all the commercials. It's a whole it's a whole experience. When I lived in Taiwan, we would do a Super Bowl breakfast.
because that was the time it was showing.
And so we'd watch it live, and it would start at like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I remember, last time I went to Taiwan back in 2016, I think I got there like either the night before or like 2 nights before the Super Bowl. So I get up, and my mom like made a bunch of food. People brought food over, and it sucked because we couldn't watch the American commercials.
Or really, because they'd show local commercials.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it was still fun. Like we would still like, so it was like I'm there, I'm eating like, eggs and bacon, drinking coffee, watching this game that's going on at night in the States. I mean, once we started going into like later morning, like we started having more lunch type things, like we had like actual chips and dip and different foods. But in Taiwan we would always have Super Bowl breakfast. Like one time we had it at my at our house, and my dad and I were making like hash browns, pancakes, waffles, all made from scratch. Someone even brought like one time, like they brought Spam. It was the first time I ever saw Spam. I mean, because in Taiwan you don't see that a lot. But anyways, it's just a lot of different things. And it was like it was a weird cross, because it's in the morning, then you're in Taiwan, and then you're cooking American food.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty cool. That's a very cross-cultural experience.
No beers. Plus the family. American beers. No beers at all. I mean, it was the whole Christian thing.
All right, and it's morning. Yeah.
Fucking drinking beer in the morning.
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, It's
like, we see all these beer commercials. Let's have a beer ourselves.
No, you got to get to school,
Well, no, because it would still be
on a Sunday or something, wouldn't it?
Shit, no, it'd be a Monday.
It would be a Monday, because it'd be Sunday in the US at night. It would be Monday in Taiwan, wouldn't it?
I was homeschooled for a while. That's right.
Oh, there you go. Good times.
School. No, my whole thing with homeschool. I didn't tell you about my homeschooling, did I?
I did not know you were homeschooled. No,
I was homeschooled for a little bit, but it was like not the best type of homeschooling. It was not like anything bad happened, but it was just like my parents got materials and textbook and stuff from this Christian homeschooling organization, and so we'd be, I'd be reading books like history books and such, and then I would do like coursework on things. My parents would buy up, like, they go to Costco and they buy up like a book that's like for my age group of like just math problems, and I just do that all day. One day I'm doing that all day. Another day I'm reading, I have to read like 50 pages out of this book on history.
Right.
Stuff like that. Because it was also a Christian group that offered these books, there was a little bit of theology mixed in there. So I read this basically it was the story of Pinocchio with a Christian twist. Pinocchio became a real boy because of God.
Ah, okay.
Somehow. It was a miracle.
Then a miracle happens and we come to a conclusion. Okay. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
I forgot if there was. I keep thinking, I mean, it's just because I've heard of this so much. I don't know if I read any books somewhere that talked about how the Earth is 6,000 years old.
Right. Yeah. The young Earth, I guess,
creationists. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're creation literalists, I suppose. But I mean, I know a couple of people who I've apparently there is some evidence to suggest the Earth is not necessarily as old as we think it is. It's not convincing, but they at least the people who believe there is evidence to support it, sort of thing.
Well, they keep claiming they say there's like circular logic to the commonly accepted idea that the Earth is like 4 billion years old or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really? Circular logic? When you're saying the Bible says this, therefore the fossils say that? What?
Right.
Like, first off, there's no accepted real interpretation of like time in the Bible.
Sure.
First, I mean, because you have people in the Bible that are like living to be hundreds of years old, or so the numbers are saying. What we don't know if those years are indicating, actual 365-day years, which they didn't have back then. We didn't measure years like that back then.
We were pretty close, though. I mean, we do have the Babylonian and other tablets that show they were pretty accurate in their astrology. So it may not have been exactly as we have it now, but they were pretty close.
But I mean, so you have that, and then you have the cultural things, like how did early Jews, or I guess I should say the Israelites, how did they measure time? We learned
they had a lunar calendar rather than,
because like there was the whole thing, Jesus fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, and someone said, well, 40 just meant a long time, didn't actually mean 40.
Okay, I mean, you could say that about any number.
But there's like, because there's recurring numbers in the Bible.
Sure. I mean, I think the 40 days and 40 nights was literally right. It's the same thing. Like a lot of people do that, and like a common one that I disagree with a lot of people on is, the scripture in the Bible where the guy comes to Jesus and how many times must I forgive my brother? And Jesus says 70 times 7. And every good evangelical, Pentecostal, evangelist, whatever, says, well, that just means infinity. And I'm like, no, it's an actual number, 490 years. Or is it 470 years? What is it? Yeah, I think that's it. And that's an exact quote from Daniel's 70th weeks, right? 70 weeks of years. So he's actually quoting and saying, look, you have as much time as this allotment. So I don't necessarily hyperbolize a lot of these numbers, but I agree with you. There's no, in terms of the Genesis narrative, I don't think it's meant to be taken literally. And
they basically they extrapolated somewhere between 6,000 and 4,000 years ago is when the Earth was created, and it's like we had. I mean, just not even like because the Bible says so, and because fossil records and whatever. It's like, how can you explain literally like just a basic understanding of how long it takes for sediment and ground, the Earth to shift, for how long it takes for a fossil to form? It's gotta be.
There's a lot to it. I don't know enough about it. I'm not a young Earth.
Right. I've met some, and they basically start to question the carbon dating methods.
I've heard that as well. And the issue I understand is moisture. Moisture will you can put something underwater and age it like thousands and millions of years. And the biggest problem with the carbon dating is it really doesn't make much sense if you don't know how much carbon was in it to begin with. So it's a complete assumption.
But the thing is, even if there is that discrepancy it's still way more than like thousands.
Sure. I think so.
And then it's like, because I've met Christians who will believe, they'll say like, oh, like they've interpreted some of these scriptures as, oh, basically like there was supposedly there was, they basically tried to make sense of Genesis to go and say like there were creations before Adam and Eve, or there had to have been something before Adam and Eve because science tells us so. Therefore, however you want to, taking into account makes sense that the Earth is really, really old, and there were other
possibly.
creatures that predated us.
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with that.
I just remembered, Noah had dinosaurs on the ark. I'm like, what?
Who knows? I mean, in fact, there's a lot of discrepancy. I don't know if you heard about this one guy. He just won a court case against, I can't remember the university, because they found soft tissue of a dinosaur at an archaeological dig. And it's like flesh. It's like, flesh. And these are the little discrepancies that come up. So he basically wrote a paper basically saying, hey, look, we found, dinosaur remains, and we actually have not fossilized, but actual soft tissue that's remained. And he got fired for that. And he sued, and he just won because what he stated was a fact. And that causes a real problem in the whole dating of things, because if it really was millions of years ago, there's no way there's going to be soft tissue, still being found on these different types of things. So a lot of people have actually speculated that, like, the Loch Ness monster and, or some of these more interesting mythological beings might actually be leftover dinosaurs that are kind of been stuck in a lake or stuck wherever.
Yeah, it happened. I'm looking it up here. They said, they found...
yeah, I know.
They basically found collagen fibers and soft tissues.
Yeah.
Now, this has been found before.
Yeah, it has.
They're just trying to figure out why.
How does that work?
Preserved. Yeah.
Yeah, and it can't be millions of years, because that's more than the half-life of the collagen and other things. So there are a lot of discrepancies in the historical record that we have. China's completely thrown out the American model. They basically said it's all bullshit. And they're trying to figure it out for themselves. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love the disagreement in the scientific community, because they've been lying to us for so many years about so many things that were thought to be settled science. It's always great when it all falls apart.
I wonder though. So you get this, you find the soft tissue, and is there really no way that could have been preserved for that long?
No, not for millions of years. No. Yeah, the collagen and stuff like that has a half-life. It would have decayed away if it's millions of years. Couple thousand, yeah, maybe, but no, millions impossible.
Then there could be the possibility that just dinosaurs existed longer than we thought.
Yeah, I think that's a feasible explanation. Some people say maybe not Bigfoot, but the Loch Ness monster is the biggest one they could point to, and basically it could be, like a leftover ancient. One of those Plesiosaurs or something like that,
Cryptozoology, bro.
Yeah, it could be something like that, right? And the truth is, we haven't explored the true depths of the ocean to know what's down there. So even if it was a meteor and it wiped out a whole bunch of dinosaurs and stuff like that, we had an extinction level event, stuff in the water might have survived. Right.
Who knows? I want to, since we're kind of getting into some, I guess, more geekier stuff, I kind of want to segue into this. We were mentioned on a podcast yesterday.
Oh, were we?
Yes.
Which podcast was this?
Masculine Geek.
Oh, was our good friend Conk? Did he?
Yes,
plug us?
He did.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I was watching it. I'm still finishing up their episode because it's like 2.5 hours.
Jeez.
It's 5 guys and talking. Halfway through, because they were talking about, they went like maybe half an hour, just the guys that host the show, and then then Conk came on, and then they talked for like a whole lot more, and I'm still watching. It's like 2 hours in, and they're still talking. But there's like they have a lot of different conversations going on too, because there's actually 5 of them at the peak of it. Right. So they're talking about a lot of things, and then he was talking about our red pill and religion, and he talked about different podcasts he'd been on. So he mentioned us, And then one of the guys like, oh yeah, the Masculine Geek Twitter account followed me. And then I commented with our YouTube account to like, hey, good
Check
stuff
us
from
out.
Yeah, you want to reach up, but you also don't want to like.
You don't want to be pretentious. Wasn't George Bruno was on the Masculine Geek early on as well, wasn't he?
Possibly.
I think because he promoted them as well when they first started. That's the first time I heard of them.
Yeah. So like Jack Napier has had one of their guys, Rob, on his channel. So there is a connection. There's like a web of shows and podcasts now within the Manosphere, and
yes,
I guess we're somehow connected in there.
Yeah, I mean we don't exclusively discuss red pill and masculinity topics.
Yeah, but because they said that they were Conk was saying the same thing. He goes, yeah, they talk about other things like religion and politics, and they're libertarians, so you're gonna like hear about that too. So they were interested in definitely like it'd be cool to talk about, I guess, our geek cred. Because we get into it a little bit here, and it's like, man, if I get around some geeks and I start talking about like really, really geeky stuff, because they were talking about, Conk was talking about like Magic the Gathering.
Interesting.
How they have their own like markets
in the
cards,
game
for cards.
Oh, the card. Okay, yeah.
So he was talking about like they have YouTube channels, they have podcasts that are surrounding like when to buy and when to sell cards, because there are people that literally buy and sell Magic cards,
right,
as a job.
I was about to say as a profession. Jeez, we're in the wrong business, man.
So these guys will play tournaments and they'll make money, and then whatever cards are in the deck of the winner becomes more valuable,
right?
But what becomes even more valuable is immediately following, someone strategizes and finds a deck that can beat that deck.
Right, makes sense.
And then once the hype of that game, that game that tournament dies down and you're moving to the next tournament, then you got to find new cards that are going to be valuable again.
Are they still making Magic the Gathering cards? They come up with new stuff?
Wow. I don't know about that. I know they probably, yes, I think they do. Wow. Also printing them. So you're learning about like, I mean, he said there was like $30,000 cards.
Wow. Okay. Talk about printing money.
Literally. Like, excuse me. I remember back when I looked at like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff. Like I have some. But I've looked into how like there's cards out there that are worth thousands of dollars. I think it's like, so if you remember like the Blue Eyes White Dragon, the one they show in the show,
yes,
that the artwork and all that, apparently that is worth like thousands of dollars if you have like one in good condition.
Cool.
Then there's also like the early editions of like Pokemon trading cards.
Right.
They've had some cards that are like tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, these games aren't even that old.
No, I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh back in the 90s.
I mean, when you hear about trading cards that are worth a lot, you're usually hearing about like baseball cards
or
that are like from, that are like decades
the golden age. Yeah. Yeah.
And then now it's like you get a Yu-Gi-Oh card from like 20 years ago and it's worth $10,000.
Yeah. I'll give credit to the geek culture and I guess to the nerddom. They've definitely found ways to create value and money. So I mean, the whole thing about esports, for instance, where people compete playing video games, right? Like, come on, man. 10, 15 years ago, that was like a pipe dream. Now people are filling stadiums and shit like that to watch people play these damn games. And the kid won some kid recently, Fortnite or something, $3 million, half of which went to Uncle Sam. Yeah, that's thanks to Geek Culture, because only geeks and nerds are coming out to watch this shit, right? So I think they're not credited with enough of how they've actually created this
Yeah.
separate economy kind of thing.
I remember when I first started watching like a little bit of League of Legends, which is a big one. They had their championship series and all that stuff, and I had friends that watch it, and I watched it, and my brother would watch it a lot, and it's and then you start seeing video clips popping up of like crazy shit these guys would do, that if you had any understanding of the game, you'd be like, oh my, how do you like operate on a level where you're playing a game with skill, like someone pulling off like a crazy dunk in a basketball game, or a play in football, where you can watch that and you feel that same level of like excitement.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or just in it, because also you're realizing like how ridiculous it is, that someone is playing that way. Like you appreciate the skill in the game. Like there's skill in games now.
Yes.
There was I watched a video. There's this YouTuber I've been starting to watch a little bit of. He does Minecraft content and stuff, and there's Minecraft servers. Now there's this Minecraft server out there that I heard about. It's called 2B2T. It's like one of the oldest. The guy in these channels, kind of a meme, but he's always says, it's the oldest anarchy Minecraft server.
Right. I think you were telling me about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically you can do it's the way it's programmed is you can just kill anyone, do anything. So that a lot of people tend to either, people who do choose to work together, but most people are nomads. They're just traveling throughout that server. And so he was interviewing a guy who has been experimenting with machine learning,
right?
Creating a program that could play the character. Basically, he had been experimenting with bots in the game to teach them to play the game.
Okay.
To actually not only to survive, but also thrive in the game, build things, get food, and he even taught them how to fight and stuff. And he's already working to he's basically has started to develop a bot that could basically operate at a certain level that you could just leave it and it would just play the game for you.
Cool.
For a time. And people, he was, as they were talking about, they said, well, who would really buy this? You'd be surprised who'd be willing to pay thousands of dollars for a prime, basically AI driven Minecraft bot.
That's pretty wild, man. That's pretty wild.
Because the server is so popular. There's also people that will even buy and sell information regarding other players.
Right.
Where did they leave the server? Where do they build their bases? Where are their bases? What kind of things they have their bases?
Right. Trading in information. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. In a game.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I saw the extent of that, I think was World of Warcraft. Right. That's the mystical one, right? That's the RPG.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. Online multiplayer, whatever the fuck it is. And
all the geeks are just screeching.
They're losing their shit. I'm not a gamer. I've never been a gamer, that kind of thing. So right, yeah. So the first one that I saw with that kind of potential was probably World of Warcraft, where the equipment, the this, the that, the internal currency, they had a market and I mean just insane collaboration and everything else like that. And I saw people actually willing to, if they were good at like building up money and stuff like that. I used to hear stories of like, all right, well, you pay me like $50, I will log into your character and level them up for you to whatever, right? To like a level 100 mage or whatever it was at the time. That was like the first inklings this, gaming world kind of coming into the real world. And in that movie that I told you about, Life 2.0, which is all about like the online culture and stuff like that, there was a woman in that who made her living designing houses for people and furniture in, I think it was Life, whatever game it was. Second Life, that was it. And she made real money, tangible money doing that. And I thought that was the craziest thing I'd ever heard. And Geek Culture, man. Geek Culture's done that,
I remember, so a friend of ours who lives in South America right now used to live in California.
Yes.
His son was working. Well, what he did, because he told me about this. He said, he was like, yeah, my son's really smart, but he was also kind of like worried at the same time. But he told me, he goes, yeah, he basically, I think it was some MMO. Wasn't World of Warcraft. It was another one. I think it was one of them. I forgot what it was, but there was this this type of like, so it was a game where there's like two tiers of playing. So you have like your free to play, and you have like a membership tier or something.
Right.
He was basically buying up these memberships, like vouchers or whatever they were, and selling them back to like players. It was an older game, so players that wanted to get back into it.
Right.
So he'd buy them cheap and sell them at a markup.
Yeah.
He made like $2,000.
There you go.
And but because of the whole process he's going through, like he basically put in a lot of time. So this friend of ours basically told his son, like, yeah, just don't play it anymore. Like basically forbade him from playing that anymore. But it was like by the time he stopped, he made a lot of money.
That's definitely paid for the game many times over.
Yeah. I mean, a friend of mine from high school would even play. He started working with so League of Legends being like. Have you heard of that, by the way? League of Legends, probably.
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it though.
Yeah, it was funny when I played that game. So like it's pretty big in Asia, but it was really funny when we went to Singapore and they would have advertisements for it on bus stops. But anyway, so
interesting.
A friend of mine who was really into this game was working with Riot Games. Riot Games is the creator of this game. He started working with them to like certain programs they offered where he would, I guess, kind of chat with other players to show them how to play certain ways of play, certain play styles, certain strategies in the game. So for the viewers and listeners, League of Legends is a game. It's called what is it? Crap. There's I forget. It's been a while, and it's a certain term. Here we go. So it's called a MOBA game. MOBA.
Okay.
Multiplayer online battle arena. So what you do is you have you have a battle arena. So you have this map and it's multiple player, and then you basically fight each other over a game. Sometimes in League of Legends, a game can last anywhere between 20 minutes, 15, 20 to almost over an hour.
Right.
Everyone starts at level 1. They start, moving up the map, exploring the map, fighting each other, fighting monsters on the map. And then when they die, they go back to their spawn point, buy items with the money they have to level up. Over time, you want to basically destroy the other person's base.
Sure. I get that.
He would basically experiment with different types of, and then you have different characters you could play. They all have different skill sets, different strengths and weaknesses. He would play different characters with different play styles to show all these other players. And then it's like almost like tutoring, almost like teaching this how to play the game. And he'd make, he'd make a couple $100 a day doing this when he could, but he'd do it like once in a while.
Sure.
And then he would tell me, my dad, he always gives me crap. And, when he was living with his parents, like his dad would come in and do the whole, turn off, you'd actually be doing something if you weren't playing a damn game. And he's like, I get paid for this. Like, so it was pretty funny how that, like, when I first started seeing that, it was like people making money playing video games.
It was a thing.
Still is a thing.
It has become a thing. Yeah. I mean, I think in a lot of ways that's what made YouTube what it is. It got the big audience from gaming. It's lost it to Twitch, but I think YouTube gaming was huge when that people started playing and people could watch. In fact, it was so big and popular. South Park did an episode about that.
PewDiePie.
Yeah, well, they did it with PewDiePie, and I can't remember which one it was. Well, I mean, they did the World of Warcraft one, but there was one where the kids were watching somebody play a game, and the dad was like, "Hey, why don't you actually, play the game?" And it was like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like,
I think no, it was PewDiePie. I think they were watching PewDiePie play, and then it was all the little kids, and it was so then the actual kids, the South Park kids, were telling their brother, like little brothers, like, why don't you just play the game? And they're all just like, PewDiePie.
Right, yeah, exactly.
What happened in that episode was Cartman would commentate on people commentating, I think, or something. It was like this like Inception level, and basically he became so popular that he could like when you're watching these guys game, they're like a little video in the corner, right?
Yeah,
of like their
yeah.
webcam. He was that popping into real life.
Right. Yeah, something like that. But I mean, if South Park's making a joke about it, it's culturally relevant. That's
yeah. I mean, when I heard of like some of these crazy strategies people will go through to get popularity through like making videos, doing video games on the internet, like what was it? So someone talked about like I saw this. There's a podcast clip from Corridor Digital, which is like one of those channels that does a lot of these like these special effects videos, kind of like Freddie Wong.
How it used to be, yeah.
So one of the clips they had Freddie Wong on, and he's like, I've got all these videos, I've got all these views and all these subscribers, but it doesn't mean shit, apparently.
Right.
Because where do you don't hear about them so much now?
Yeah.
They have to. So there's this weird thing, but then I also heard something else. Someone said like, well, if you're smart, you could make a series of videos, like put forth some work, and like make let's say a 10 episode series of something,
right,
and pay for views,
right.
Get 1 million views or 10 million views on each of them, on all 10 videos, present that to a studio, get funded.
Correct.
Even though it could all totally be manufactured.
Yeah. I mean, it's about how you play the game, right? So like I know a guy, and I know him personally. He wrote a book, and he said it was the award-winning let's just use the phrase Galaxy Prize. I wouldn't actually call the institution that he used, because then I'll promote his book, and I don't really want to do that. But it's a prize that he fucking made up, right? He gave himself the fucking prize, and that's how he managed to sell that to a publisher and get published. So it's all fucking smoke and mirrors and this kind of bullshit at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, Freddie Wong, it's now Rocket Jump Productions or whatever. There was a split with him and what was the other guy he used to work with? I can't remember the guy's name, but I think they kind of split up.
The blonde guy with the glasses,
the white guy, with the glasses.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they were like hated each other. I think they just probably had the whole
creative differences. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you see a lot of this. You still see like Corridor Digital will do videos. I think they tried doing like deep fake stuff. So they hired a Tom Cruise impersonator
Right.
and deep faked Tom Cruise's face over him. So it was like Tom Cruise showed up to their studio.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, Tom Cruise is running for president, everyone.
I mean, is that a real thing?
No,
Like,
no, no,
that's
no, no. I mean,
obviously I wouldn't. It looks great.
Oh, the guy is so good at impersonating Tom Cruise, and like, there's a couple moments you can really believe, like, oh, it's him.
No, it was brilliant. I was looking at it as like, this is pretty cool, and for like a second, I was like, no, this isn't real, right?
There was actually I watched a someone did an anime intro to Andrew Yang.
Okay.
So it's just this like anime thing where it's showing like he's this it was copying obviously Naruto, so it's like this ninja theme thing, but so it's Andrew Yang is like this ninja fighting off all these other people, like other presidential candidates, and then it shows at the very end he's fighting Donald Trump, and it's pretty funny. The anime intro thing is kind of a weird meme too. You get famous people and people make anime intros of them.
Yeah.
Like someone made an anime intro to the Ben Shapiro show.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Steven Crowder made his own anime intro.
Oh, cool. That's a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. I'll have to check that out.
And then of course I showed you the picture of Ben Shapiro with the sword.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was very funny.
Yeah, if everyone will look up young Ben Shapiro with sword, I think you'll find it. It's a picture of Ben Shapiro like with sunglasses, like a leather jacket, and then he's like holding like some katana, and it's like, you know, some
It's like open a can of whoop ass kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. It was
some
pretty
nerd some nerd thing he was into, I guess. I don't know. Man, I'm surprised where we actually went with all that.
all the fucking nerd culture, you know.
Yeah.
We'll probably have to now. We have to like pitch this to what's it, Masculine Geek, and you know, see if we can now get on the show to discuss some weird shit. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, shout out to them again. Yeah, for definitely. Well, for Conk, of course, mentioning it on us, and then they actually showed interest. They've heard of us, so
that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Yes. Oh no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna ask. Speaking of podcasts, have you been caught up on the Glorious House of Gains?
No.
Okay. Oh, dude, I mean, you know, we were this close to having the big man on. You got to be up to shit, man. You got to be on the level, bro. You can't be like weeks behind. What's the last one you
listened to? I'm just last week's. I'm like halfway through it.
Last week's. Okay, well, yeah. So last week's was it was the week before, which was Escape from the Sex Rooms or something, Sexapate or something, where Joey made his big announcement.
Oh, that he screwed up.
Well, that he's not going to be at the NPC finals in November.
He's not going to make weight.
Well, he doesn't think he's going to be. I mean, he's going to be in good shape, but not stage ready, kind of thing. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. And what did you think? Did you think he was going to do it or not?
I wanted him to.
Yeah. I mean, fill in the listeners who may not be familiar with.
So Joey, he goes by Joey Bag of Donuts, but or Joey NPC. NPC is like it's like a bodybuilding competition.
Yes, yeah.
And Joey was basically, and Joey is Robert Frank's manager.
Yes.
Helps him negotiating out like, you know, contracts, deals, sponsorship, stuff like that. Basically, he was going to like lose a ton of weight to get ready for this bodybuilding competition, NPC, and it's like he was giving himself like at the time 3 or 4 months to like lose over 50 pounds,
something like that. Yeah.
He's gotten down just below 220, I believe.
Yes,
probably around there. And I saw him in some, like, there were some videos and some pictures of like his full figure just kind of seeing what he looked like when he was in Vegas, and I was actually surprised he looked a lot better than he like in some of his other pictures
from his
you could,
DJ Khaled looking days, you know.
I mean, you could really tell what he meant by when he was like saying, "Yeah, I'm getting looks from chicks now." I'm like, "Yeah, I can totally see why." Just yeah, it was a real big change, but he's not on pace to lose all the weight, it seemed.
Right.
A lot of the guys, just because of the way he is, I guess he's had a lot of like basically attempts and failures to losing weight or just doing anything major in life
Yeah.
in that way. Not that it's anything, any judgment on him. It's just, people have those different kinds of things that, they really need to like try a lot of times. And where he's been now, where, on court, on pace to lose weight now is still a lot better than he's ever like versus all the attempts he's done before. But it's just not enough to make this competition. So
Yes.
he's dropped out, I think.
Yeah. Well, he says he's postponed. So he's looking at events in February to give him 2 extra months to really try to, get in shape and stuff like that.
Plus, there's all the talk, like, because some of these competitions don't have any real criteria regarding how you got in shape, we'll just say.
PEDs, right? Performance enhancing drugs.
We don't know.
We're talking about trend, right? We're talking about trend balloon, right? What about steroids?
Talking about supplements.
Supplements and stronger supplements.
They called it super supplements.
Super supplements. Yeah, that's the shit. Actually, I'll tell you a story about that afterwards. But yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah, they don't have rules surrounding that. So I don't know how much. I mean, we've all suspected, Robert Frank is probably on a couple of different things. We've all, different guys in the show have probably all tried different things, but there's no confirmation. I remember, so I was on TikTok and I'm watching Robert Frank's videos, and he's trying to make content that's like, because he's an old guy on that platform. Most of that platform is like younger than like my siblings.
Yeah, young kids,
high school kids.
Was it tweens or whatever?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You're 16 to 16.
Ironically, my Russian friend is on it. She's 30 and she loves it for some reason. But anyway,
probably getting all the attention. I mean, there's a lot of thoughts on there.
Oh, yeah.
So he's on there and he's like, he did this video. He's like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm seeing all these kids that are like, make me famous. Watch my video. Give me a like. And he's like, you need to be more creative than to just sitting there. He's under Robert Frank persona saying all this. And he goes, back in my day, I had to walk up, 10 miles uphill both ways, all the way to get my school. School.
Yeah.
So he knows like people are, have their ideas and their thoughts about it. And I think a couple of videos he did when he was on his cruise, he was like, so here's all the stuff. Oh, the one you see that supplement, like turns a bottle around, and I'm like, oh geez, dude.
I mean, I think there was one where he was talking about his testosterone. One of the not a video, but it was part of the podcast actually. And apparently, when he got his testosterone checked, it was in the shitter. It was like really low. And the doctor had put him on some cream and some other thing, and the cream was very expensive, like pretty heavy stuff. And you can boost your testosterone with steroids, right? That's a thing, right? Mm-hmm. So he's there talking to the doctor, and again, I don't know if he's serious or not, but he's like, "Well, doc, I have this guy in the gym who says he could get me this thing that's a lot cheaper to boost the testosterone." And the doctor's all like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, go ahead."
I mean,
yeah.
From what I've heard, I remember I watched a clip on this. So 60 Minutes, like 60. They did a story about steroids.
Yes,
and they said, they basically, the question they started with is, if if beauty pageants, if beauty
Mhm.
pageant contestants can get
Implants.
implants to win,
Yeah, or liposuction.
or yeah, basically they can
Ones, yeah.
enhancements. Why can't athletes or just certain competitions allow for drugs?
I would agree with that. I think there should be a league in sports, which is like the peak of human potential. Like, so yeah, okay, you have the Olympics, let that be natural. But I think
Hmm.
there should be a competition of let's build the best human being and like let's just
Jesus Christ.
like just inject him with everything and like let's set some records and performance stuff. I think there should be an Olympics for steroid users, like how they have the Special Olympics for all the retards. I think they should have. I think they should have an Olympics for the steroid users. I think.
And the stream just got cut, everybody.
No, I seriously, I think if you're looking for the best of human potential, I think there should be separate. I don't think you should mix the two. Leave the Olympics as is, but I think you should have a special classing for that. And
Just could you
yeah,
imagine like just the people you're gonna see, like just absolutely like
monsters. You're gonna see fucking freaks, like just skinny men with legs as big as trees walking out for like high jump and shit. Like.
My biceps have biceps.
Yeah, the biceps. In fact, I'm in a carnivore group right now, and there's a guy in there, and the man is fucking jacked, right? Like absolutely. I mean,
Oh, is this the carnivore group that I'm in?
I don't know. I don't know if you're in it or not. I'm not sure. Maybe you are. It's not the dating one. It's another one. But he's in the dating one as well. I think he posted the same pictures. But I mean, there are a couple tells when it comes to steroids. And the biggest tell is the upper body tends to be a lot bigger than the lower body, right? And especially the traps and the delts right here on the neck. This doesn't really respond to training naturally. So when you see people have this fucking pyramid looking neck where the delts and everything else is just kind of built up, that's kind of, it's not impossible. You might have the genetics for it, but chances are you're on the juice. And this guy had some fucking mental delts and traps going on in the back there. And he's like, oh no, I'm all natural and stuff like that. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I seriously had my doubts. It's pretty easy to get out here in the UK too. In fact, the BBC did a documentary out here, and 40% of the men in London are counting for like most of the non-prescription steroids that they're buying online.
From what I've seen, and just from talking to a lot of different people, like there are a lot of drugs that you can take that just, they give you that performance boost, they give you that extra edge, but the side effects are there are those that are fairly minimal. Like the common idea with steroids is just tits and small dick and high pitched voice, and like your estrogen, your estrogen is gonna spike, and it's like that's one kind if you're not doing it properly.
Correct.
There's so many other ones that are lower level or medium tier that basically will give you similar results as your top of the line stuff, but
correct,
you won't, and there are ways of like remedying certain symptoms or side effects that you just got to be smart about. You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, like, actually, I'm on a steroid right now.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it's a low level steroid. It's called Clomid, and for women it helps them with pregnancy, get pregnant, but for men it boosts their testosterone. So I take a tablet of that every other week. And when I'm done with this cycle, I go and get tested. They see if my estrogen is shot up. But yeah, I think it's helped me lose the weight as well. I think, obviously there've been other benefits from it.
Steroids.
Yeah, and I only found out it was a steroid the other day because I went onto the UK site of steroids and I see the fucking selling it. And I was like, wait a minute. And I read up and I realized it is a steroid. I was like, I didn't know that.
And that's the thing with these things is, so anytime you have like a substance that is become basically socially like unacceptable or a taboo or something like steroids. Like the public perception is, oh, it's just it does this, it does that, roid rage and all this stuff and the other. And all it comes down to is when the public and the government basically don't allow it. Yeah, you're only going to hear about all the bad things that happen with it, of course.
Yeah.
But for people who are actually in that sphere that are like looking into it, testing it out, and actually talk to doctors who will like know about it, they'll find out, oh yeah, it's just like any other kind of like drugs. There's there's side effects. There's things that'll help, things that won't help, things that obviously there's always a way to abuse it. Like imagine if ibuprofen was illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the public perception would be, oh, ibuprofen like burns your stomach.
Right, exactly.
Because it can if you take a lot. But because we're smart and we're educated on it, we know about it. There's warning labels, there's studies, there's science behind it that's like mainstream. We understand, oh, you take a couple, you get rid of a headache.
Exactly. I mean, this is the thing. Like I looked into it because I was very tempted because my next year I turned 40. So I'm very tempted to get into like the best shape of my life for 40. And I was like, well, yeah, I'll take a year. I'm going to hit in the gym anyway. The diet is pretty much on point. Maybe I'll just get like a low-level, entry-level steroid and just to, get the physique and everything sorted out for 40. And one of the risk of it, yes, there are low-level steroids, and I mean all drugs have side effects, but apparently it can get very addictive because you start to see all of these changes in your body physically, the strength, performance, and all these other things, not to mention libido and all this other stuff. You kind of feel like a Superman, and you kind of want to take it to the next level. And that's when people level up and they go all beast mode, and they turn into the fucking Incredible Hulk. So you really need the mental discipline to do that. I haven't completely ruled it out. I might have a conversation with my doctor just to kind of see if because I would like to be in really good shape by the time I hit 40. I'm already on a good path. I've lost a lot of weight. My strength has shot up. Everything is going good. But I'd like to do that for myself, So I'll see.
Right. What was I thinking about? What is the specific supplement called?
Oh, I don't know. I that's why I say if I'm doing it, I'm going to talk to a doctor and get the proper information. I might talk to the guy in the gym as well. He might have some recommendations. But
oh boy,
I'm not injecting myself with any fucking shit. It's gonna be oral, if anything, oral steroids. I'm already taking the Clomid, so I'll talk to the doctor who's prescribed that and be like, hey, maybe I could get HGH, human growth hormone or something. I'll see what he recommends. While taking this after I do my next blood test to test for. I don't have, I'm not growing boobs or anything, so I don't think my estrogen is really going up. So, which is a good thing. So, but yeah, I'd consider it. There, literally everything in the UK you want, you could, in terms of drugs, you could get it online. Even antibiotics and stuff like that, which are prescriptions and stuff. I've been having this cough. Anybody who's been watching the stream will see me mute the microphone while I cough a little bit. It's getting better. But I mean, it's hanging on now for like almost 2.5, going on to 3 weeks. And they kind of say, well, if by 3 weeks you might have an infection and you need to get some antibiotics. To get a fucking appointment in the UK with the NHS is a goddamn nightmare. But I could go online, fill out a questionnaire, tell them I've had the cough for so long, put some basic information. They'll write the prescription for me and send it to me in the mail. And it's the same thing with the steroids. This is steroids, whatever, uksteroids.com or whatever the fuck it is. You just buy it online. I mean, that is the risk. Like Jimmy Triceps would talk about that. Like you do not know what you're getting when you buy shit online. So that is the risk, which is why I'm not injecting myself with any fucking shit. I'll take a tablet, but I'll see. I'm gonna try legit first.
Yeah, there's this is what I was thinking about. Because we're coming a little bit up on our time here. I wanted to kind of fill in.
Yeah.
Well, I want to fill in on the viewers and listeners of what's going on over the next couple weeks here, because we're having a guest on Sunday. This is for sure.
Okay. Coming Sunday.
Yes, yeah, we're having Joshua Smith, who's one of the candidates for the Libertarian National Committee's chairman. Basically, one of the in terms of the national committee, he's the head of the party. I think it's pretty much head. Yeah, basically, when they go to the when they're dealing with a lot of party stuff, like you'd be one of the leaders. He's part of Think Liberty, who I write for, and he's, I guess, the resident Libertarian Party guy.
Yes.
He's going to come on, talk to him about on Sunday, talk to him about his ideas for the party, because he gets, he's hanging out with a lot of the Think Liberty people, which most of the people, like, let's just say, have their criticisms about the party.
Sure.
He sees that and he's in the party. So I guess I would say a more well-rounded, more reasonable person that's not just peddling the party and all this stuff. Right. Who wants to actually make real changes and stuff. And he's just got a whole bunch of funny people that are running against him that I think is interesting. And then, of course, there's Nicholas Sarwark, whatever his name is, the current chairman.
Okay.
Is a little bit interesting as a person. No, but he's going to be on now Thursday, the Thursday after. I don't know what our plan is if we're having a guest.
We're going to try.
We're going to try.
We'll see what the guest says based when he finally gets back to me. So,
yeah. That would be the 26th. Now, the 29th is a Sunday. We will not be having a stream on the 29th.
Right.
So I'm actually going to be gone the whole day because it is my birthday.
That's right.
Will be my birthday. Well, not the 29th. The 30th is my birthday, but the 29th I'm going out with family and such, dinner and all this stuff, and then
hookers.
Yeah, with the family.
Mom, let me introduce you to my hooker friends.
Oh yeah, we saw you on your 25th birthday. No, and then the Monday the 30th, we might do a stream if you're up to it, Brook.
Yeah, I should. If at this time, it'll be fine for me to do that.
And then because we're gonna do just a regular show, and I'm debating on this. I might do some people I've seen will do a birthday stream. Like they'll do a stream with multiple people will come on at different times for a couple hours.
Yeah.
So it's a couple hour long stream, but it's different people just to
break it up a bit.
Birthday.
I think that's a great idea.
But yeah, that's what's gonna be going over into the next couple of weeks. Anything else you want to add, Brook?
No, I'm quite impressed. I'm always impressed when we have nothing to talk about and we manage to fill an hour and a half twice a week, which is not easy.
Because we always, and it's fun too, because we always get to talk about different things about ourselves, about our takes on different issues. And we didn't even get into news.
Well, there's not much news going on.
But I mean, you get these shows that people think there's nothing else to talk about, and so they get into news. And it's we didn't even get into news yet.
Yeah, we didn't. Not that there was much news to discuss, but you're right. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, we could talk about the what is going on in the start looking up local news of the Middle East or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's always something going on in the Middle East.
There's always something going on in the world, so there's always the news. But the news that we find important, and not so much. I mean, what's really going on in the world? Not much.
That's crazy. Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
there is one thing that I will say quickly. I'm going out to Body Power 2020. Oh God, this man and this motorcycle. I've booked my ticket for I think when is it? The 12th or the 10th to the 12th, whatever it is. That's where I met Robert Frank and the gang last year. This is the event I'm going to fucking hell, man. That guy is so fucking annoying. He does that every day. Yeah, so I'm going back out to meet Robert, Frank, and the guys. Ironically, they haven't booked yet. They're still working on a booth. But I'm going to be in Birmingham for Body Power 2020. If anybody want to come out, hang out. And I'll probably go to the after party as well with Robert, Frank, and the guys. And my friend Paul Young and a couple of the other guys who, fans in the UK. We're all going to be out there. So, yeah, if anybody's interested in meeting up, I'll be out there at Body Power 2020.
Ooh, what month?
You'll have to look it up. I think it's May. Let me look that up really quick. Body Power 2020.
I for a second thought you were like, you're gonna go out there for a competition or something.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not competing. Right. So the dates are the 15th to the 17th of May. That's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to be in Birmingham from the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I leave Saturday evening. So I'll be there early entry because I got VIP pass, 9 a.m. on Friday. I'll be heading straight for the Robert Frank booth, see the guys, Beard So Strong, everybody else. And there'll probably be an after party the Friday night. I'll go to that. I'll come out for the Saturday, buy some shit, some supplements, whatever. And then I'm hitting the train back to London so I could be on the show the day after.
Awesome.
Yes. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, I have nothing planned so far.
I mean, if you can, maybe you should come out,
In May, I'll be in Taiwan, though.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah. Because we could have shared the cost of the hotel and
I mean, there's so much, so many things I could go to next year. And it's just like, I'm just doing all, and me doing all the math in my head, all this money.
how can I afford this? How can I never say I can't afford it? Always say, how can I afford it? And your brain will start working on it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then it's like, yeah, but how can I afford anything else in the meantime? Yeah. And then it's time away from work and all this. And yeah. But anyways,
we'll figure it out.
Thank you, of course, thank you for joining us. Do like and subscribe to the video here. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, and other podcasting platforms that we're on. I think it's a lot of them. Yeah, leave a comment, of course. Follow both of us on Twitter, which we're there. I'm more on it than Brook is, but
true.
Of course, check out all our links below for any, how you can support us, how you can follow us on different social media. And we will, of course, be back on Sunday with our guest. So,
yes. So, yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you guys on Sunday.
Thank you, guys.